Welcome back to New World Next Week. I'm James Corbett of CorbettReport.com.
And I'm James Evan Pilato of MediaMonarchy.com. It's all taking place right here in America. We have got that story, plus the great undersea cable-cutting follies of 2025. But first, possibly the biggest story going, DeepSeek, the rise of China's open-source AI amid regulatory shifts and privacy concerns. This pretty much blew up everywhere on this past Monday. A recent regulatory clampdown in the United States on TikTok, Chinese-owned social media app, triggered a surge of users migrating to another Chinese app, RedNote. Red because they're communist, I assume. Now another significant player has entered the spotlight, DeepSeek, a Chinese-developed generative artificial intelligence platform which is rapidly gaining traction. The growing popularity of DeepSeek raises questions about the effectiveness of bans like TikTok and their ability to curtail the use of Chinese digital services by Americans. President Donald Trump has called attention to recent Chinese AI development, describing it as a wake-up call to the U.S. tech industry. Talking to Republican lawmakers in Florida on that Monday evening, the president emphasized the need for America to strengthen its competitive edge against China's advancements in technology. During the event, Trump referenced the launch of DeepSeek AI, highlighting its potential implications for the global tech landscape. Last week, I signed an order revoking Biden's destructive artificial intelligence regulation so that AI companies can once again focus on being the best, not just being the most woke, Trump said. He continued by explaining he'd been closely following the developments in China's tech sector, including reports of a faster and more cost-effective approach to AI. DeepSeek, created by Chinese AI research lab backed by a hedge fund, classic. That's not like here at all. Has made waves with its open-source generative AI models. The platform rivals offerings from major U.S. developers, including OpenAI, the orb guys that pay you off for your biometrics. More on them later on this episode. To circumvent U.S. sanctions on hardware and software, the company allegedly implemented innovative solutions during the development of its models. DeepSeek's approach to sensitive topics raises significant concerns, of course, about censorship and the manipulation of information. I'm talking about this on my Tuesday show. Just immediately, it was like, I bet they won't talk about Tank Man. By mirroring, and people were basically going to it and trying, and of course it broke its brain and wouldn't say anything about Tank Man. By mirroring state-approved narratives and avoiding discussions on politically charged issues like Tiananmen Square and Winnie the Pooh and Xi Jinping, DeepSeek exemplifies how AI can be wielded to reinforce government-controlled messaging. The selective presentation of facts or outright omission of them deprives users of a fuller understanding of critical events and stifles different perspectives. Such practices not only limit the free flow of information, but also normalize propaganda under the guise of fostering a wholesome cyberspace, calling into question the ethical implications of deploying AI that prioritizes political conformity over truth and open dialogue. So, of course, those have been the very battles we've been waging all around the world with the internet, I would say, over the last 40, 50 years. Most of this, James, all hit the news and blow up in the States because it hit my stock market on Monday. So I actually go pretty deep into this onto my Tuesday show. I will include the link to January 28th Morning Monarchy, but you did it in last November. The Chi-Coms are coming. Quick, close the AI gap. From November of 2024, Axios reports White House looking into national security implications of DeepSeek's AI. TechCrunch reports Italy sends first data watchdog request to DeepSeek. The data of millions of Italians is at risk. Italians is at risk? That's all you had to say to me. And of course, we'll even just link to Wikipedia for DeepSeek. And as we've noted many, many times, what's the takeaway of all of this? Don't use Chi-Com AI CCTV spy apps. Use American surveillance tech. James?
Yeah, and might I just point out that it's always funny to be the Canadian in Japan looking at this, and it's the American saying, no, those evil Chi-Coms are spying on you, use American, and the Chinese saying, no, the evil Americans, use Chinese, and I'm like, yeah, how about neither? But, okay, so it's only been a couple weeks since I wrote my 2025 prediction editorial to, here's what's going to happen, and I said it's going to be the year of AI. We're not even out of January. And it has already completely and utterly dominated the news feeds. And I say this again because I am not looking for these stories, but this story was all over every single newsfeed I have, I'm getting feedback from people. My mom, who doesn't follow anything, was asking me, should I be worried about this and all sorts of stuff. So this is definitely a big story, and the question is why. And I think it's because it touches on things from pretty much every conceivable angle. I have seen articles on this from every viewpoint, from the rah, Chi-Coms are the best, BRICS New World Order cheerleaders who are, doing their victory lap. Look at what China can do because they're so awesome, guys. And of course the boo, Chi-Coms are the boogeyman coming to get you. This means we need more money for the American military industrial intelligence complex. The market doomers, oh my god, NVIDIA, the bubble's popping, the world is ending, the cynical gloomers sitting there, folding arms going, well, actually, this is just a distillation of ChatGPT, so it's not really a new thing. And every single conceivable possible angle, Microsoft engineers going through what it can and can't do, people testing it and running it locally and finding they can get around the censorship and stuff like that, etc., etc. But actually, I think perhaps one of the more interesting takes comes from the abnormally bulbous conehead Mark Andreessen. Has anyone noticed that conehead? Anyway, whatever. Mark Andreessen warns Chinese chat GPT rival DeepSeek is AI's Sputnik Moment, which I think is exactly the right framing for this story to explain what is happening here. Because what was the Sputnik moment? Of course, it was when, oh my god, the Ruskies are so far ahead of us in the space race. Wake up call, we need the moonshot, divert all of our resources to the moon landing, all of that. And yeah, I think we are seeing a similar thing. Exactly as I was talking about last November, as you point out. Yeah, I wrote about this last November. Hey, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about, guys, and can tell you what's happening before it happens. Anyway, yes, this is being framed in the new Cold War scenario setup. And this is going to be, of course, why $500 billion for this Stargate thing to all these orb people and all these creepy big tech oligarchs? Because the Chi-Coms are coming, man. The Sputnik moment. Oh my god, you better wake up and realize how dire things are. I hope that the cynical gloomers who say, well, the AI bubble is popping and NVIDIA and all these are going down and this is the end. I hope they're right, but I don't think they are. I think this is really just the beginning of Cold War 2.0. We're starting to see the opening shots, and it's not on the battlefield, it's in the info space.
The NVIDIA stock maybe hit the dumper worse than anyone else on Monday on this sort of stock market, dip. And again, for everything they lost, they pretty much make it all back the next day. It's always like, oh, they lost so much, and they gained it back the next time the stock market opened. Talking about this again on my morning show, just sort of learning about it as we were doing it that morning. It's cheaper and it's faster and it's better. Because it doesn't do any audio, doesn't do any video, I think. We actually joked the way it's so efficient is that it just queries ChatGPT. James, I added that into my notes. The Sputnik moment, that might be a good cover story idea for this episode 579 of New World Next Week. We've been teamed up together since October of 2009 doing these shows. So again, we kind of know what we're talking about at times. We each cover our respective areas, and I think together do pretty well. The proof is in the pudding, as we like to say. And our second story on this episode, 579, NATO and Sweden and Latvia on high alert after Baltic undersea data cable damaged. The third severing of an undersea cable in just 3 months occurred on Sunday, this time between Latvia and Sweden in the Baltic Sea. The incident prompted a criminal investigation and heightened concerns of potential sabotage by, of course, could only be Russia or China. Latvia's State Radio and Television Center, a data transmission provider, released this statement about the damaged cable connecting Ventspils in Latvia and Sweden's Gotland Island. In the early morning of January 26, the submarine fiber optic cable of the Latvian State Radio and Television Center, LVRTC, in the Baltic Sea was damaged. The LVRTC data transmission monitoring system recorded disruptions in data transmission services on the Ventspils Gotland section. LVRTC continues to provide services using other data transmission routes. Currently, there is a possible delay in data transmission speed, but it does not affect end users in Latvia for the most part. Prime Minister Ivica Silina commented about the incident on X. X? What's that? Early morning today, we received information that the cable from Latvia to Sweden was damaged in the Baltic Sea in the section that's located in the exclusive economic zone of Sweden. I wonder if that's a clue. We're working together with our Swedish allies in NATO on investigating the incident, including to patrolling the area as well as inspecting the vessels that were in the area. Authorities have intensified information exchange and started criminal investigation. And I don't think this is a drill or a war game, James. It's just pretty much a live operation. NATO launches Baltic Sentry, Sentry, as in to monitor and be a sentry, to increase critical infrastructure. That from the horse's mouth, NATO.int. But why let a non-event get in the way of your anti-Russo narratives? Undersea cable damage in the Baltic Sea, the result of accidents, not Russian sabotage. From anti-war, still kicking it, hasn't lost the plot. Recent damage to undersea cables in the Baltic Sea was likely caused by maritime accidents, not by Russian sabotage, as many Western officials have alleged. The suddenly more reasonable Washington Post reported on Sunday. Boy, they kind of turned it around quickly. I wonder if they're capitalists or something. James?
Yeah. Let me lick my finger. Which way is the wind blowing? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's what the Post is doing right now. But, yeah, what an interesting story. And I think it's pretty clear. It should be pretty clear to people in the conspiracy reality-based universe what is happening here. We are seeing the preparatory stages for the next big false flag freakout event. Whether these cable cuts are real or not, whether they were actually done by Russian vessels and Chinese dragging anchor on purpose or not, doesn't actually really matter. It is the everything surrounding it and the creation of the narrative around it. They of course make sure to trumpet it in the media. Oh my God, the cable's cut. It's probably Russia. It's probably China. Whatever is actually an accident. Whatever. Don't look at that. It's probably Russia. It's probably China. They get that drilled into the public consciousness. They launch a literal operation to combat this problem that they themselves are hyping up, which, let me check again. Oh my God, the Latvia-Sweden cable that didn't actually even affect anyone in Latvia has been cut. Oh my God. Why? Why are they freaking out? Because of course, when something happens, you will know who to blame. We have seen this before, and it isn't, I can say from my perch here in Asia Pacific, it is not just happening on that side of the planet, it's over here as well. Just a couple of weeks ago, Taiwan reportedly claims China-linked ship damaged one of its submarine cables, which is an interesting story that again goes through these 17 hoops of it. It was a Tanzanian-listed vessel that was reportedly from Cameroon, but it's called like the Shunqing 3 or something. So people are like, well, clearly it's China, and but they can't even prove it was necessarily this ship that cut the cable, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. You know what to do when you see the big one go down. And oh, by the way, as they kind of secretly admit on the side, hackers game out InfoWar against China with the US Navy, where they talk about this DEF CON hacker game thing that they're having in order to, if we were at war with China, how would we hack and game them and play, and start the InfoWar with them? So this is the future of Cold War 2.0. It is going to involve some sort of big internet InfoWar false flag freakout. We've said it a million times on New World Next Week over the course of the past 15 years. So people know that the cyber false flag is coming, and they are setting the stage until they're ready to pull that card from the deck. The Illuminati game card deck, I guess.
Actually had a great Media Monarchy member send me a deck of the Illuminati New World Order the classic Steve Jackson games cards. But James, yeah, whether it's this app they announced to you on Monday that was going to disrupt the entire world, whether DeepSeek and any of that is real at all, whether Baltic Sentry is real at all, whether some bad man did sex crimes for real at all, just say it online and it becomes a real boy. You just put it out there and it becomes, you don't have to go to some pesky court, or it's just you say it out and there it goes. Now, wouldn't they say that about us as well, online conspiracy purveyors? James, are we going to see Alex Jones doing White House press conferences soon?
Ozempic Jones? I guess so. I don't know. Who knows? Is that on your bingo card for 2025? It should be.
It was not. One of the numerous things they are talking about as we will move into our third and seamless transition into our third and final story this week. One of the other things, and I didn't even have it on my stack, they're talking about letting new media into the White House press conferences. So again, I think I said to you guys last night, I was like, I'm not trying to be the weekly Trumpdates, but holy moly, what a less than the last 2 weeks. Trump's executive actions made his first week possibly the most consequential in presidential history, as thefederalist.com proclaims. During his first week, Trump returned stronger, wiser, and mentally agile enough to orchestrate the most consequential first week of a presidency ever, putting more than 300 executive actions into motion, which is what Bush and Obama and Brandon also do. They rule with a phone and a pen. And many of these things are all going to be fought over for the next 4 years. Courts and Congress are both already hopping mad. Speaking at, yes, the World Economic Forum, Trump put the word out to international companies that they should make their products in the U.S. or expect to pay tariffs. These are immediate job-creating, community-building jumpstarts the economy needs. And the poverty pimps don't seem real pleased. Another one from the Federalist, just sidebar. Trump proved Democrats want a permanent underclass of illegal migrants to exploit. I can't think of any other logical reason the Biden administration and other mainstream Democrats want illegal immigration other than wanting a permanent underclass that they can underpay, mistreat, and exploit with no repercussions. I mean, the joke we've been making the last 4 and 8 years, man, I haven't seen Democrats this mad since their slaves were freed. Democrats have catered to the elites, and keeping illegal migrants only benefits the top economic pyramid. Colombia tried to act tough, but caved like a belt. This all took less than a day, James. Trump threatened tariffs to the nation of Colombia after they tried to refuse flights of their alleged illegal immigrants that we were sending back to them. Trump threatened 25% tariffs, and they caved like a belt. Colombia to accept all deported illegal immigrants after Trump tariff threat. And something technocrats have wanted for decades. I interviewed this jerk years ago on his book, The End of Money, and talking about, of course, we'll save so much if we remove the pennies. Killing the penny, that's another thing Elon Musk's Doge is looking into, the Department of Government Efficiency. And yes, U.S. orders halt to virtually all foreign aid. Awesome! Oh, except for Israel and Egypt. Except for Israel and the country at war with them in 67, 73, and 79. Meanwhile, James, let's stare into the orb for an NFT NWO, SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle to invest half a trillion, 500 billion on AI in the U.S. Japanese tech giant SoftBank Group Corp, as well as OpenAI and Oracle, will form a new company that will invest at least $500 billion on artificial intelligence infrastructure in the United States. Trump announced on Tuesday, saying it would bring a massive number of jobs to the country somehow. The investment under what is called, and what you referenced earlier, James, that's right, the Stargate project, will be made over the next 4 years, building new AI infrastructure for OpenAI, according to a statement released by SoftBank and OpenAI, the U.S. developer of the widely used AI chatbot, ChatGPT. At a press conference at the White House, Trump said the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history will ensure the future of technology, while also citing China as a competitor. It's all taking place right here in America, he said, adding it'll create over 100,000 American jobs. So foreign tech bros getting in on the action as well. Now, these last few, James, I think I like a lot. In addition to crushing all the DEIs and NGOs, Trump says he immediately halted the hiring of 88,000 new IRS agents. Jokes he might send them to the border. But that wasn't it. Trump hints at ending income tax. We should tax foreign nations to enrich our citizens. And again, the realism pendulum swing. I was just replaying, James, I stream all day like a radio station here in the Media Monarchy Kingdom, and I like to play my older episodes from this date. I think this day in history is always just a great kind of context. I was replaying my show from this day in 2018 and had the clips of them all going around the table and talking about it, and I covered Trump at dinner with Nestle, HSBC, and Bayer, and Adidas, just all the scumbags. Again, I wonder which way the wind is blowing. I'm not delusional about all of this, but I'm trying not to throw out the anchor baby with the fluoride bathwater either. The RFKJ hearings today were bonkers. Bernie and Warren and everybody just yelling and freaking out at RFK. But I think the real power, James, is the idea. I've been talking about this at home. Cass is a bit skeptical of my rah ideals, but that people might actually feel more empowered in this era. The idea of free enterprise, land of opportunity, all that blah, 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 is actually real. It's in the room with us now. I always wanted to do new time radio. I wanted to be a radio guy. That's what I do. I made up a job and became the person that does it. That's more, I think, what I'm kind of trying to hold on to, James, that if, like, these kids, they can't even, get out of their cry boxes to go to a job. I think hopefully this idea of you can do something, you can make something, you can make your own business, you could basically be anything in America. I like those ideals. I know that it comes with a lot of bad CIA imperialism and murder and mayhem all around the globe, but I didn't have anything to do with that crap, man. I promise you.
This is it. Yeah. Lenin supposedly, but did not actually say there are decades when nothing happens and there are weeks when decades happen. Well, regardless of whether or not Vladimir Lenin actually said that, which he seemingly did not, it's certainly true. And man, what a wild couple of decades this past 2 weeks has been. I can't even keep up with all of the stuff that's flowing through the news wires right now. I don't think anyone can. So we will have to see how this starts to shake out as this propagates into reality. And I could, I suppose, go on my voluntarist high horse here and lecture people about, doesn't it at all concern you that all of these things, all of this power can be accrued in the office of a president so that whoever's sitting in the Oval Office can sign and ultimately change reality at a whim? Isn't that the exact opposite of, say, what the Founding Fathers did when they were trying to overthrow the monarch and set up a democratic constitutional republic? Altman that kind of the entire... Whatever. Anyway, as long as it's going in my direction. Oh, what's that about OpenAI? Sam Altman and Larry Ellison and Trump doing this open deal at the press conference with Ellison, like, hey, America, you can buy TikTok and give half of it to America. And like, just craziness. Absolute fire sale that's going on right now. Anyway, I could get on the voluntarist high horse and start talking about that side of it. But no. You can tell Cassie, next time you're talking to her, that Corby, for whatever it's worth, agrees with you. I think what is happening here is, yes, there's the political stuff that goes on, whatever, but that is secondary to the cultural zeitgeist, the mindset of what people believe, which will influence what they do in reality, which is the only thing that actually matters. And that, to the extent that there is a cultural zeitgeist shift taking place right now, this could be extremely important. So I am not going to quote Lenin. I am going to quote Faulkner, William Faulkner, from his Nobel Prize speech. I don't know why I'm compelled to, but I think these words are particularly relevant. Our tragedy today is a general and universal physical fear so long sustained by now that we can even bear it. There are no longer problems of the spirit. There is only the question, when will I be blown up? Because of this, the young man or woman writing today has forgotten the problems of the human heart in conflict with itself, which alone can make good writing, because only that is worth writing about, worth the agony and the sweat. He must learn them again. He must teach himself that the basest of all things is to be afraid, and teaching himself that, forget it forever, leaving no room in his workshop for anything but the old verities and truths of the heart, the old universal truths lacking which any story is ephemeral and doomed. Love and honor and pity and pride and compassion and sacrifice. Until he does so, he labors under a curse. He writes not of love, but of lust, of defeats in which nobody loses anything of value, of victories without hope, and worst of all, without pity or compassion. His griefs grieve on no universal bones, leaving no scars. He writes not of the heart, but of the glands. And if you want the full effect of that, please go and hunt out the audio of Faulkner actually reading that speech. It's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, that's what I think. I think this is about all of the verities of the human spirit and how we go forward from here. It's nothing to do with the political window dressing nonsense going through the news wires. It's about what you do with your life.
James, I think I realized as a kid, already being into movies and music and TV and any kind of media, it's like, man, if you're in media, you can basically do whatever you want. I figured that out very early on, and I basically was going to make sure that I worked in media somehow, even if it's just, man, I get free concert tickets and get to hang out with celebs at a radio station, or I get to do media monarchy. Hey, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both? And yes, as I said many times, trying to, of course, prepare folks, remember, the Democrats are what pass for being tough on Israel. So it's only going to be a massive push back in Israel's direction. I think Netanyahu was sitting around the table with Trump in that video from 2018 on this date. Whew. NewWorldNextWeek.com. I made that American dream happen too. I see my buddy in Japan schlepping, trying to make DVDs and mail them out. I was like, man, I think we can do something better. And we run NewWorldNextWeek.com for the hats, for the hoodies, but also for the work, for the DVDs, for the USBs. And it supports both of our works. You don't see us shilling for any companies. We don't have to run VPN ads before every single one of our videos. And we probably won't be invited to the new media chair at the White House. I mean, you can pretty much guess the top kind of 3 bros that are going to be in there probably. I won't say their names right here, though. I also get the exclusive audio of these New World Next Week episodes and play them after my Thursday morning monarchy, assuming my utilities all still work. Whew. Thank God we don't have busted pipes or anything like that that I know people are dealing with all around America. It's rather cold right now. But just the power and the internet have been dropping a lot. So I'll do my best to be on the air tomorrow. And I'd love for folks to come check it out. James, that is New World Next Week, episode 579. Again, yeah, as you say, a lot of decades happening in these last couple of weeks.
And on that note, a shout out to our peeps in Ireland, who I understand just went through 3-4 days without any power whatsoever, and have had to deal with all the cashless nonsense that suddenly shops are demanding cash, but you can't get cash because the ATMs are out. Interesting times all around the world. On my final note, I will just say for people who stayed to the very end of the last edition of Solutions Watch, you will know that I teased a certain thing and an announcement that is coming up. I will just tease here at the end of New World Next Week. Once again, there will be a subscriber announcement this weekend, only for subscribers, and with a special offer that's only for subscribers and only a limited number of subscribers. So you will want to be a subscriber to the Corbett Report if you want to see that. If not, you can wait and see it with the hoi polloi later on. But if you want the inside track, please become a Corbett Report member. Other than that, I think that's it for this week. James, looking forward to doing it again next week.
Always, buddy. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Take care.